Hi, this is Mother's Day weekend, and I'd like to do a little bit of short message on mothers. And of course, mothers do teach us a lot sometimes of positive and negative, and I want to focus a little bit on the positive things they teach us. We growing up, we may not all have had the most positive influence of mothers. Not all mothers love God, but those who do, they try to teach their children right from wrong, and they do have a special place in God's heart. God made a promise in the Bible to those that love their mother and their father, that says, honor your father and your mother, that you will live long and have a full life. So, what do mothers teach us? Well, in the book of 2 Timothy, Paul admonished Timothy to remember what his mother and his grandmother taught him. It says, you've been taught the Holy Scriptures from childhood. They've given you wisdom to receive salvation that comes from trusting Jesus. So, it tells me that every little thing that mothers did taught me something. Well, what did my mother do? Some of the things that my mother did. Well, when I was growing up, my oldest brother was in the Army. And a lot of times my mother would send little care packages over to him. And, I say, well, why are you sending this? And she says, because I love him. And I want him to know that I love him. And I want him to be able to share my love with other people. And I'm teaching him to share things and to be able to do those things. And I know even today when our churches send care packages out to military members, those care packages that we send to soldiers overseas, those are gold to those men and women that are serving in our armed forces. And I'll tell you something else too. My mother carried a big purse. My dad always joked around how heavy that purse was, and he would say that woman carries tools enough to change a car tire. Well, she really didn't, but she always carried a coin purse in there. And I remember she always carried a silver dollar, and she called it her mad money. I said, well, what's mad money? And she'd say, well, that's if I get mad enough, I'll spend it. Well, she was always prepared for a financial emergency. She always taught us to be prepared for the future. She always had a little tiny flashlight in her purse in case the electric went out or we got caught in the dark. She always had tissues in her purse just in case we had a runny nose or we were crying and we had to have a tear that was to be wiped away. Mom always had chewing gum or little Starlight mints or some kind of mint in her purse. Something sweet to encourage others when they were down in the dumps. Do we do that kind of stuff? Do we encourage other people when they're down in the dumps? Mom carried a little thing that had a mirror in it. It's always good to check in light of Scripture if we're doing our best. If we're looking good. You see, see where I'm getting at? She carried a comb in there because she always wanted to look her best. Like if she went outside or something, her hair got messed up, she could look her best. Do we always look our best in the light of God? Do we always look to the Bible like we do my mother's purse or our mother's purse as a guide to look our best? You know, we look at these things and we think, do we look to Scripture for guidance when we have a tear that might need that spiritual tissue, or that encouragement when somebody is down in the dumps? Do we look to God's word? Do we look for God's meaning in it? You know, mothers can teach us a lot of things by those little things that they did. And I thank God for those things that mother carried in her purse, because they taught me, without me even realizing it, a lot about God without me even knowing it. And I hope that this Mother's Day, that you can look back and think about the little examples that your mother taught you. Now, I haven't figured out one thing, and maybe you can help me along the way. My mother used to say, if you break your leg, don't you come running to me. Now, I haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe you can help me with that one. But if your mother's still alive, give her a hug and a kiss and tell her you appreciate her. If she's not, thank God for an example, or thank God for at least giving you life on this earth.